Welcome back to Sonic Speed Reading, and welcome back to our coverage of the Metal Virus. And we're just about at the finish line, folks, but we have another crazy set of events to cover before we wrap up this story. And things kick off with issue 25, and I gotta tell you, it's so crazy seeing another Sonic comic reach the coveted 25 issue mark. That was such a big deal for me as a kid with the original Archie series, but that's a topic for another time. We start off the story with a character we have not yet seen once during this entire storyline, and that's Knuckles the Echidna, standing guard next to the Master Emerald as per usual, and he looks up in the sky to see a restoration shuttle, and Sonic drops in front of him, and he is not looking good. Goodness gracious. Yeah, his virus has almost completely overtaken his body, as all that's left is just half of his face and a little bit of his chest, which is a little inconsistent if you remember that comic way back where we saw somebody turn before they were even finished being covered, but whatever, that might be more artistic interpretation than anything else. This is an awesome piece of artwork. I love Knuckles. Why do you look like Metal Sonic? Sonic waves him off. It's a long story. Stay back. I don't want to touch the grass. Knuckles, what's wrong with my grass? Look, I gotta go on a run. Don't worry about it. The other two will explain it for you. There's been like many issues about this shit. Just talk to them. Love Amy's face as she comes to land. Yeah, Knuckles is giving them a look. Usually trouble shows up whenever Sonic does, so he's gonna be in for one hell of a story. But then we shift perspectives back to Eggman and Starline. And if you remember from the end of the last video, the platypus has brought the Deadly Six aboard the face ship. Iggy is pissed and immediately sends Metal Sonic out to take out the Deadly Six. Destroy for daddy! But if you recall how they operated in the games, you know this is not going to go well. Zavok immediately takes control of Metal Sonic and then condescendingly lets the reader and Eggman know, don't you remember? This is kind of our whole shtick. And Starline backs him up, which is precisely why I brought you here. You six will keep the zombots under control while Eggman researches a better way to contain the Metal Virus. So Starline believes he's doing Eggman a favor. He's making up for his lack of foresight with, and then, blows into the conch to get the Deadly Six back in line, but unfortunately, they are very familiar with this thing and they are ready to go on the attack. As the purple one, I forgot what his name is, headbutts Starline, and it just, oh man, it looks so brutal. Then green grabs it from him. I'm not going to pretend like I remember their names. I don't care. So yeah, we are 3 pages into this comic and immediately the Deadly Six have taken over the entire situation. But before we leave this scene, they shift their focus over to Orbot and Cubot, who take a look at a screen that just appeared before them. A screen with a somewhat familiar looking icon. I wonder who could that be? But shifting back over to the focus of Eggman and Starline, who is very confused about what just happened, is quickly informed by Eggman, the conch only works as long as your lungs last. And I love this because it shows Starline is not above Eggman's own failings. He is very arrogant, very full of himself, which is the exact same thing, and that blinds him to his own shortcomings. And Eggy, despite being a chaotic mess of a man, still knows what he's doing. That doesn't mean he isn't above his own shortcomings, but there are reasons why he would not recruit the Deadly Six. There are reasons why he does not revisit plans after they fail. He is, at the end of the day, a smart man with a lot of failings and a lot of shortcomings, but he is a consistent threat for a reason. But unfortunately, there is an even bigger threat in Zavok and the rest of the Six, as he sends Metal Sonic back on his creator to attack Starline and Eggman. Starline opens a portal, Metal chases after them, and they all transport out of the face ship, leaving the Deadly Six alone with the entire ship and all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Now, I know a lot of us are not the biggest fans of the Deadly Six, and I'll get into more critique about their use in this comic, but just generally as a Sonic fan, even if I can't remember all of their names off the top of my head, I still recognize these characters and I still love seeing parts of this franchise come together. The Deadly Six were so isolated from everything else that had happened in Sonic's world because they were literally on a different continent, floating in the sky. So it was cool to see Metal and Zavok have that quick interaction, and it's even cooler to see these characters interact with the coveted Chaos Emeralds, as Zavok takes the purple one and attaches it to his chest, saying, like all things, we take their power as our own. Yeah, get ready kids, For the first time ever, we're going to see the Deadly Six be a legitimate threat. Orbot and Cubot just start simping for Zavok immediately, saying, "Bravo! A+ plan, new boss." And Orby quickly takes QB aside and tells him, "Look, I'm kind of saving our hides here. Let's just play kiss ass now, otherwise he's just going to take control of us." And the plan works. Zavok says, "You're going to serve me freely?" And Orbot's like, "Yeah, of course, man. I'm spineless, both literally and figuratively." Now, that's kind of just a hand-wavy motion. I really don't know why Zavok would not just put them under his control anyway, just to be on the safe side. This is still a robot programmed by Eggman, but maybe expends too much of his energy, even though he's got a Chaos Emerald on him now. I don't know. We're gonna move on past it. Point is, Orbot is clearly working with Rouge the Bat, who makes her return to the comic. She's clearly made her way aboard the Phase ship and is watching from the rafters. Zavok, at this point, takes the rest of the Chaos Emeralds and hands it off to his commanders, sending each of them off to different parts of the world to take command of the zombots. His plan is to organize all of them and send them off to do his bidding, and once every living thing has been infected, neither Eggman nor Sonic will have anywhere left to run. They are just going to remove any hiding spot those two have. They're going to go this far for their revenge. We finally shift our focus back to Angel Island, where Knuckles has clearly been caught up with everything that's been going on with the surface below. He's not having a good time. And it's about to get worse, as it turns out that Starline has sent Eggy and Metal and himself to Angel Island. And if you recall, everyone's been through a nightmarish mess, and so far Sonic is the only one of the heroes that has made direct contact with Eggy. This is the first time the rest of the cast has seen the villain who's responsible for everything going on, and Amy is pissed. But Sonic tells her to chill out, saying that Eggman has had every advantage. So why would he come to us without his army, or his Egg Mobile, or anything? Well, I mean, he's got Metal Sonic there, so I mean, there's something there. And again, I don't really know if I like Sonic taking the role of everything, be it leader, tactician, everything else. I like him being a little more reactionary, but this is this interpretation of Sonic. And again, we'll save that analysis for a little later. Point is, he knows there's something way off with what's going on with the zombots, and Eggy needs to start explaining himself, otherwise Sonic will infect him himself. He quickly says that Idiot Boy over here brought the Deadly Six to the Phase ship and they've taken over everything. Knuckles asks the obvious question, why should we trust them? And SPO is there to respond. He just got word from Rouge, who will of course corroborate Eggy's story. So they all reconvene inside the shuttle. And I love everything happening in this first panel here. We have Starline being watched by both SPO and Knuckles. General is facing down with Metal, which is rad. Nothing we've ever seen before. This is what I'm talking about. I love seeing these little bits and pieces of Sonic history come together. And this sheep girl, who we've seen time and time again, looks very terrified of Sonic, who is just sitting right above her. And considering she's looked pissed off every time we've seen her prior to this point, I'm sure she's gonna be a pain in the ass for our heroes somewhere down the line. Just calling it right now. She hasn't made a peep, but these are very expressive pieces of art. But back to the topic at hand. Rouge is playing the spy here, giving our heroes information about what's happening aboard the Phase ship, Zavok's battle plan, things of that nature. Tails is pissed, and this shows just how different these two characters are in terms of their intelligence and their view on science. Tails found a cure for the metal virus. He sorted it out, but he's not worried about his own brilliance. He's not worried about his own accomplishments. All he cares about is saving people. And he tells Eggy to give us a cure for the metal virus. He's not worried about how he stacks up to Eggman in terms of intelligence. He just sees somebody who has a means to solve this issue where he's fallen short, and he wants a cure now. And actually, amazingly, in this tiny panel, this is understated, but this is very important. Eggman says that he has not come up with a cure for the metal virus. Now, it could just be because he didn't feel like it, but this is something Tails has managed to accomplish, and he didn't have Eggman's notes. He had to sort it out all by himself. But while I would love to appreciate how much love Tails is getting in this comic, we do have to focus on the more important problem that was the metal virus, as Eggman says that his research has found that the metal virus mutates and it becomes unsustainable, and basically explains in science jargon that eventually the infected are going to disintegrate. They'll take about 200 years, but he'll have evacuated to a different world by then, so he's not worried about it. And this is where Silver comes in to confirm this, because in his timeline, all that was left was ruins, metallic plants. This is why his future looks the way it does. It's because the metal virus will eventually take over every living thing, and eventually they will disintegrate. That's why nobody was left in his timeline. And Silver's obviously looking worse for wear. If you remember, he was, which I originally assumed was on his own, over at Ice Paradise, but turns out he had a whole crew there, a shuttle and everything, and well, zombots took it down and he couldn't save anybody. And now he's feeling a lot of guilt. He's worried that his failures here is why his future looks the way it does. Just love Eggy. Just responds to us like, is he always this melodramatic? But as you can see, we are looking at him through a sniper scope, which is then blocked off by a rather adorable forehead. As it turns out, Whisper was pointing her Wispin right at the face of Eggman. Wasn't that a lovely callback to Fleetway's Sonic, huh? Yeah, as you can imagine, Whisper is pretty pissed with Eggman. But Cream, as always, jumps in and asks for the route of non-violence. Whisper tells her to move, and Cream tells her, I understand why you hate him. I really do. But we need him, whether you like it or not. He's a means to stop this entire mess, and regardless of how upset she is with him, ultimately, what matters to her is seeing her mother again, and her chows, and everybody else. And you know, I've given her some slack for being a bit too lenient here or there, but I gotta give it up for this little girl. Despite all of her pain, she's seen through this as reasonably as possible. What matters more than however they're feeling in the moment is saving the people they love. And Whisper pulls her little mask back, and with a dribbly face, it's obvious, as painful as it is, she agrees. So it's another touching moment between Cream and another one of these characters. And I love that Omega's there the whole time, just talking shit to Eggman. He's like, you can't kill him, I gotta kill him. I love that Cream's just like, thank you, we'll stay with you so you won't be lonely. Omega. I'm not lonely. I am enraged. We cut back to the rest of the crew. There's been a makeshift treadmill for Sonic to run on so he doesn't get infected, and everyone comes together to make a plan to tackle the Deadly Six. Starline suggests that they implement the Master Emerald, as that could potentially neutralize the Deadly Six. And Tails says we can't move it without risking the whole island, and we certainly can't lure them here. It's too much of a risk. And of course, Knuckles also chimes in saying, you're not touching it. Espio comes up with Chaos Control. And Silver says that Shadow was much better at it than he was, and it only moves a target over a limited range. Can't change things. And Amy suggests, well, maybe if Sonic was transformed into Supersonic. And Sonic responds, I don't think so. Supersonic means the Chaos Emeralds give me unlimited power, but that doesn't mean I can just do anything with it. We'll get back to that. And Eggy also points out that all the emeralds have been scattered to the winds because the Deadly Six are now dotted all over the planet. Eggman's response, I was waiting for all of you to exhaust your bad ideas. It's actually simple. We're gonna use the warp topaz. And he goes back to what Starline told him about it. Yes, as dismissive as Eggy was of Starline, again, he's a very smart guy, and he is always scheming. He was paying very close attention to what Starline was telling him. And he points out that the topaz can cause massive changes with just a little charge. And if you pump the power of Supersonic through it, he could warp the virus away in one fell swoop. Now, I don't exactly know how all of that works together, especially since we were just told that Supersonic can't just let you do anything. And we also know that the virus changes you on a cellular level. And I know that Supersonic's managed to do other things. We'll get to it. Point is, that's the battle plan they're going to go with. But the next step is figuring out how to track down all the Chaos Emeralds and bring them back to this point. But unfortunately, Starline does not agree. As he's pointed out plenty before, the Warp Topaz is a very dangerous little gem. As the only expert on the Warp Topaz, he states that Eggy is being excessively reckless, and he's proven that to be the case this entire time. Starline gives us a little bit more information here, saying that creating and directing warp portals is difficult, and the components of his glove were built after countless hours of careful testing. Supersonic using the Warp Topaz recklessly could undo the virus, or it could warp space-time so badly that the entire planet collapses. Here on Angel Island, they have a safe haven. They have resources. They can put in the work and find a safe, responsible way to regain control of the situation. Which I agree with Starline, but then he ends with, we can still win. So no, he still wants to take over the entire planet with the virus. And Iggy points out that Sonic is on borrowed time, it's not going to be safe forever, and he'll take any risk to ensure that the Zeti don't use his own genius against him. We don't have any better option. We're ending this. But Starline has had enough and says, no, I will figure out a way to finish what you started, and you can thank me later, and begins to open a warp portal. But as quick as those portals are, they are not as quick as Metal Sonic, who rushes up behind Starline and grabs his arm. God, this art is so brutal without showing any actual violence. Damn. Eggman snatches the gauntlet off of Starline's battered hand. I like that little detail. It shows he's actually done a lot of experimenting with this stuff. Damn, I never noticed that detail before. But yes, at this point, Eggman has had enough of Starline and says, you're fired. And with that, Metal sends him into the now open portal, and it closes behind him. Damn. And Tails just confirms with Sonic that they're not gonna move on Eggy after that altercation. Starline's a dick. We're not gonna worry about it. And basically the rest of the plan is formed from here. With the warp topaz, they're gonna build a multi-portal generator. And with Rouge and Orbot's counterintelligence, they can find the exact locations of all of the Zeti. From there, they're going to split up into teams of 2, except for Espio, and retrieve the emeralds. But unfortunately, their numbers are running a little low, so Amy has to call in reinforcements. And those reinforcements come in the form of the Babylon Rogues. Now, if you have not read the first annual and you're not super familiar with Sonic the Hedgehog, you might not know who the hell they are, so you just kind of have to go forward just accepting that these characters are now here. Again, if you're familiar with the franchise, it's not a big deal. This is kind of an interesting way to bring them back into the fold, as this is technically their very first appearance in the mainline book. And Amy also points out that, I mean, they are thieves. They'd be perfect for stealing Chaos Emeralds. And I do love that Jet is just being a little shit when he sees Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog, you're looking more pathetic than ever. The song's like, yeah, charming, you gonna help us or what? And Sonic plays into Jet's arrogance, saying that we need the help of the legendary Windmaster, which is kind of telling him that I accept that you're better than me with your stupid wind skateboard, whatever. And that is enough for Jet to agree to help. And I do love that Amy says that, don't worry, I won't tell Knuckles. Sonic has a lot of rivals out there, and he's exhausted. His ego's been taking a beating for a while. He's fine with it. We then spend a little time with each of the 6 as we see their reign of destruction between all the different cities they are invading. The fat yellow one's demanding more food, the one on the moon thing's just causing chaos, that weird emo one is on the back of that stupid owl from Lost World and is just enjoying all the misery taking place before him. The green one, which I guess is named Xena, I will forget that again, is just having the zombots carry her through the town, picking up different accoutrements and stuff of that nature. Now what's interesting for this one is that the zombots are indeed under their complete control, as we see other civilians completely unaffected and completely ignored by the zombots. So clearly the 6 have complete control, and for some reason they are still using the threat of the zombot infection on the civilians. Just shows how cruel and terrible these characters are. They could just turn them immediately and just put them under their control, or just make them suffer. Why not? And the old one is sending off zombots to do whatever. Basically, the invasion is going very, very well, and soon they will be taking over the entire world as issue 25 ends on the zombotified silhouettes of all of the cast that we've lost so far. As well as like a pig dude. Is his nose glowing? I know his eyes are. What's going on there? But that's where we're gonna have to call it for today, guys. And that's for a couple of reasons. First off, I had to use a temporary microphone because I had to pack up the other one, and if you're wondering why the audio quality is completely changed, that's why. And secondly, it turns out issue 25 was quite a meaty one. It gave us a lot of setup for the story going forward. Our remaining heroes are now settled on Angel Island. They're teaming up with Eggman. Starline is out. The Deadly Six have complete control over the Zombots and the Chaos Emeralds. Will Sonic's plan work? Can Eggman and Tails actually get the Warp Topaz to play nice? Are the denizens of Lost Hex going to come across the fabled Angel Island? It's all coming to a head, and it's just gonna get buck nutty from here, so be sure to stick around for what comes next. Of course, you can go ahead and read the comic for yourself. I always recommend that you do, and if you've been sticking around this long and haven't picked it up for yourself, what are you waiting for? Get to Comixology, get to your local comic shop, Barnes & Noble, whoever sells this stuff, and take it in for yourself. It's a great story. But yeah, that's enough rambling. Thank you guys so much for sticking around for this episode of Sonic Speed Reading, and an extra big, huge, special thank you to my patrons who support me over on Patreon. They get the show a couple days early, and of course, they just get to be awesome. They just pay to be awesome. I guess that's what I'm saying. Whatever, you know what I mean. I greatly appreciate you guys supporting me. It means the world to me. But no time to get sentimental. We got a lot to do, and I'm gonna get going and doing it. So until next time, toot toot, Sonic Warriors.